the People Television. I am Fina Chiku.
And I am David Edwin.
Before we begin the news, kindly visit the website on www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. The headlines. IG says over 11,000 police officers withdrawn from VIPs.
Baba Ahmed faults security emergency, says corruption core issue.
Governors need statutory powers as chief security officers, PDP.
Sarah urges probe of governors' security votes used since 2015.
NAFDAC warns manufacturers against low-quality products.
SEC urges strong forensic capacity to achieve $1 trillion economy.
In business, FG seeks accurate data to boost livestock sector.
And in the world of sports, NTTF petitions ITTF over World Youth Champs visa.
In entertainment, TikTok to spotlight creators drive culture community. Now on the news and details. Following the recent presidential directive, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Boytokun, has announced the withdrawal of 11,566 police personnel from very important persons, VIPs, in Nigeria. Boytokun told newsmen in Abuja at a meeting with senior police commanders that it is a strategic realignment aimed at strengthening frontline policing and protecting vulnerable communities across the country. He explained that their recall from VIP security duties was not driven by sentiment, but by the urgent need to channel manpower to areas where public safety demands are highest. According to him, the move aligns with the core mandate of the Nigeria Police Force, which is to protect citizens, communities, and public order. He added that the withdrawal would enable the police to expand manpower deployment for rural and township security, landscape population protection, intensified patrol, intelligence-led operation, and rapid response to emerging threats.
Still on measures to tackling the upsurge in banditry, the 2023 vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Yusuf Baba Ahmed, has faulted President Bola Tinubu's nationwide security emergency in focusing on massive recruitment into security agencies rather than addressing what he called entrenched corruption within the system. Baba Ahmed, who spoke during a local television program, argued that in focusing on more personal recruitment, Tinubu's recent strategy missed the point by overlooking the core issues fueling banditry, kidnappings, and rural attacks. Faulting the directive on the recruitment of 20,000 police officers to strengthen counterterrorism and public safety efforts, Baba Ahmed said the emphasis on numbers was misguided. According to him, insecurity persists not because of manpower shortages, but the corruption within the security architecture and political interference that undermine operations and weakens institutions. He also faulted Tinubu's advisory to state governments to reconsider building boarding schools in promoting all poorly secure areas as dangerous and capable of stunting national growth and further emboldening criminals.
Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has called on the National Assembly for full constitutional power to governors as their state's chief security officers to enable them respond effectively and efficiently to the escalating insecurity across the country. The PDP National Chairman, Kabiru Tanimu Turakai, made the call in Birnin Kebbi State during the party's National Working Committee's sympathy visit to Governor Nasser Idris over the recent abduction of government girls' comprehensive secondary school students. Highlighting the need to restructure the nation's security framework, he stressed that governors must be empowered to effectively discharge their roles as state chief security officers.
Still talking state governor security responsibilities, the Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has urged President Bola Tinubu to probe state governors' use of security votes since 2015 May. Welcoming Tinubu's National Security Emergency Declaration, it noted, however, that it might not give the desired results until governors are made to account for how they spend their state security vote. Against this background, a statement by SERAP's Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadari noted that in the face of the growing insecurity in several parts of the country, President Tinubu must exercise the political will and show leadership by urgently holding state governors to account. Citing a recent report by Transparency International, it noted that much of the funds appropriated as security votes, summing up to over 241.2 billion naira every year, are spent on political activities, mismanaged, or simply stolen. According to SERAP, probing state governors' security votes, spending, and ensuring accountability for the alleged embezzlement, misappropriation, or other diversion by state governors would enhance the implementation of the state security emergency.
In another development, the Association of Licensed Private Security Practitioners of Nigeria says that Nigeria is not ripe for private citizens bearing arms for self-protection. The interim chairman of the association's caretaker committee, retired Major General Elias Njoko, noted that the country is yet to recover from the menace of proliferation of small arms and light weapons. Speaking in Abuja, Njoko stated that those calling for licensing of arms for private individuals and citizens were merely speaking on the spur of the moment rather than a considered decision. Noting that the canvasser do not know the long-term implications, he further explained that even as licensed private security practitioners, they are not allowed to carry arms because a process has to be followed and the necessary conditions must be kept to.
Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the constitution of Nigeria's delegation to the United States-Nigeria Joint Working Group, with the National Security Advisor, Nuru Ribadu, to lead the Nigerian side. In a statement, presidential spokesperson Bayo Onanuga said Ribadu would be leading the team, which is supported by a multi-stakeholder team drawn from key security and policy institutions as part of efforts to collaboration in tackling security challenges in the country. Members include the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Toga, Minister of Defense, Abubakar Badaru, Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Oloyede, and the Director General of National Intelligence Agency, Mohammed, amongst others. According to the statement, Tinubu urged the team to work closely with their U.S. counterparts to ensure the seamless implementation of all agreed areas of cooperation.
Still in the news, former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan arrived safely at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja on Thursday after being airlifted following the military coup in Guinea-Bissau. Jonathan, who was in Guinea-Bissau as head of the West African Elders Forum Election Observation Mission, had arrived in the country ahead of the last Sunday's presidential and legislative elections. Good duty was still ongoing when the military announced a government takeover. Former President of Mozambique and head of the African Union Election Observation Mission, Philippe Nyusi, head of the ECOWAS Election Observation Mission, Isifu Kamara, and Jonathan had in a joint statement described the coup as a deliberate attempt to derail Guinea-Bissau's democratic process.
Moving on, President Bola Tinubu's declaration of a nationwide security emergency, along with the Senate's call to review Nigeria's firearm laws, has sparked mixed reaction across the country. Our correspondent in Benin City, Rhoda Johnny, reports that discussions reflects growing public concerns over safety and personal protection amid rising insecurity.
Reactions have continued to trail President Bola Tinubu's declaration of a nationwide security emergency, with residents in Edo State describing the measure as necessary in view of rising insecurity. They said the announcement should lead to concrete steps that improve safety in towns and communities. Residents note that the key expectations are stronger police presence, faster response to incidents, and initiatives capable of rebuilding public trust in security agencies.
The national state of emergency is long awaited. It's a step in the right direction, and they should take more steps. The state police is inevitable at this time. Creation of state police, so that they can provide good administrative jurisdiction to manage policing and internal security affairs.
If the government is sincere to do so, it could be better than even requesting for foreign country. So the sincerity, it is what we Nigerians want. That due to the declaration of the state of emergency now, let's see actions, so that when we see action from the all parastatals of whether police or whatever, so let them come out and do their job, so that we, the commoners on the street, will be safe.
Men should say something, let them come out to do it. It's not only when you say something, it will be published on the paper, radio, and this. They will go and relax. No, things continue happening.
The Senate's separate call for a review of the nation's firearm laws to allow responsible citizens own guns has also sparked debate. Some residents believe regulated access could offer self-defense support, especially in areas with limited security patrols. Others insist that without strict checks, training and monitoring, easing gun access could heighten risks.
Yes, you total discouragement. No man should be allowed to carry firearms except you are totally screened, mentally in every area. That yes, you are well fit for games.
It's not good. The government should make some other suggestion, you understand, for us to train some other army, that is the army, not we serve, because we don't know how to carry gun. If you give me gun, I cannot make use of it.
If that will bring solution to what we are looking for, okay. But the gun they are going to own, is it the same thing as the one all these Boko Haram people are using? Because we see Boko Haram.
The development adds to ongoing discussions about how best to address insecurity across the country. In Benin, Rhoda Johnny, VOP TV News.
And in Lagos, residents are calling for stronger protection, faster government response, and an end to the surge in crime. Voice of the People TV's Matthew Muswada has more in this report.
Nigeria is once again confronting a surge in violent attacks, prompting President Bola Tinubu to declare a nationwide security emergency and order the army, police, and intelligence services to expand recruitment and deploy thousands of additional personnel across the country. The president also urged the National Assembly to begin the process of establishing state police, arguing that the rising pace and scale of kidnappings demand stronger and more decentralized security structures. However, several senators and members of the House of Representatives sharply criticized the federal government for negotiating with bandits responsible for recent abductions in Kwara and Kebbi states. In response, presidential spokesperson Bayo Ononuga defended the government's approach, insisting that no ransom was paid, while explaining that security agencies avoided direct confrontation with the bandits because the abducted victims were being used as human shields, making rescue operations too risky. As Voice of the People TV, we are on the street to hear what Nigerians think about the rising insecurity and the government's response.
Let me even start from individual, the masses. Whenever we see any suspect or any strange movement, we need to report the issue to the security officers. We are hearing that all those our leaders, they are the one that causes all this thing to fight for one position or the other. Within ourselves, government, they need to do something.
I think it's a welcome development if we go for state policing. I think that should help us in terms of security. Let every governor be in charge of their states. Then if something happens, a governor cannot give authority to the commissioner of police. They want to first of all get instruction from above, their IG. So I think that's what he said I like. Let's get a state policing.
As individuals, there are things that we can actually do to stop the issue of insecurities. We need to always learn to watch each other's back. That's number one. And government itself really need to tighten some loopholes within the within Nigerian securities.
Now the right time for him to declare anything. They are just deceiving us. You know, it's not proper. They are killing us up and down. Even now, they've now come to Kwara, so it's better they do something reasonable.
With the security emergency now in effect and calls for state police gaining momentum, all eyes remain on how the government will respond quickly and whether these new measures will curb kidnapping, banditry, and other insecurity crises ravaging the country. Matthew Ogunsuada, reporting for Voice of the People Television.
Thank you so much, Matthew Ogunsuada, for that report. Away from that story, the National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency has shut down a quarry, Cornerstone, operated by Istanbul Quarry in Duse, Abuja, after flying rocks from a blast injured staff and students of Graceland High School and damaged school property. According to the agency assistant director, Press Nwamaka Ejiofor, the incident occurred while students were in their classrooms writing examinations. It further explained that a loud explosion ripped through the area, followed by flying rocks that smashed into school buildings, leaving 11 students and 2 staff members injured, with several shops in the vicinity also damaged. Swiftly shutting down the quarry's operation, NESREA Deputy Director Conservation Monitoring, Glory Ubo, described the blast as life-threatening and a clear violation of the National Environmental Quarry and Blast Operation Regulation 2013.
Moving on, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has taxed operators and manufacturers within the Kano Free Trade Zone, that's the FTZ, to strictly comply with safety, quality, and efficacy standards in food and drug production. Sounding the caution, the NAFDAC coordinator in Kano, Kazim Ibrahim, warned against the manufacture of substandard products and other sharp practices that could undermine Nigeria. Ibrahim, who spoke during an investor stakeholder meetings organized by the Kano FTZ, said the agency is currently rated maturity level 3 by the World Health Organization and cannot withstand unhealthy practices that could tamper with the hard-earned rating. He explained that the failure of standards in products manufactured in the zone or domestic consumptions or for export does not affect companies, but also undermines NAFDAC and Nigeria's credibility in global markets.
You're still watching the Media News and Voice of the People Television. It's time for the Media News analysis. And joining us in the studio is Mr. Delifanimo, a seasoned reporter and also a political public affairs commentator. And we'll be joined virtually by another analyst who is a political public affairs commentator as well as an aviation expert, Dr. Dayo Kayode. Good afternoon, Dr. Dayo Kayode, if you can hear me.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good.
I
Good
can
to
hear
have you
you
on today's
live.
Media News. All right, thank you so much. Good to have you here. Good afternoon, Mr. Delifanimo.
Good afternoon.
Good to have you on today's Media News. All right, we're not wasting much time. Let me start off with you, Mr. Delifanimo. The caution and the directive being pulled out by the NAFDAC coordinator in Kano State, Kasim Ibrahim, warning against the manufacturing of substandard products and other sharp practices that could undermine Nigeria. He said that the reason for this call is not just for people to deter or stay away from producing substandard goods for consumption, or for export. But for them not to find a way to reduce the rating they've already gotten from World Health Organization, which left Nigeria at maturity level 3. What do you have to say about this? The fact that today NAFDAC is still battling with manufacturers of substandard drugs and illicit drugs, and even those that will go as far as pushing out into the market expired goods too.
You see, it's a worrisome trend, and I'm looking at this beyond maintaining standards, regulations, and all that. But what about those who consume some of these substandard products and the fake products? You know how many deaths that had occurred as a result of this?
And that is as a result of having low earnings to want to get those substandard products.
You know one thing. I had a personal experience when I went in 2019 when I went to Bangladesh, and it was then I realized that most of these drugs are manufactured in Asia, China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, around that axis, but they are manufactured for pharmaceutical companies in Europe and America, And when I got there with two of my friends, we went for the annual festival of commemorating the loss of over 3 million Bangladeshis during their struggle for independence from India. And when I got to the premises, one of them looked at me and he accosted me and said, "Are you from Nigeria?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Let me take you to the marketing manager." And I winked to my friend. I said, "Let's play along. After all, I'm a journalist. I want to find out what is going on." So we got to the marketing manager and he started asking me if I'm an importer, do I have a guarantee letter of credit and all that. I said, "Yes." I said, "I just want to come and see what is going on before I retire to my hotel." I mentioned the hotel I was kept. And lo and behold, he was asking me, is it strictly for Nigerian exports? I said, yes. He said, what exactly are the things I want them to manufacture? Which means some other people had come earlier to give them specification of what they will manufacture that is different from the standard, global standard.
That means that each country have the standard of any produce that they are to send to them. Is that what that means now?
What that means is to show you how corrupt they are in even Bangladesh.
Okay.
That is not a peculiar thing to Nigeria. It shows how desperate they want to make money in Nigeria, in Bangladesh, and also collaborating with willing corrupt businessmen from Nigeria. So, at the end of the day, I got to realize that sometimes you could be taking 500 milligram antibiotics, and what is embedded is just 150 milligram.
There was a time.
And then you will continue to swallow and swallow and swallow, and they will go back to laboratory. When you are tested, you will discover that those days of taking those particular drugs, you are not actually taking the right quantity. And antibiotics is so dangerous that the moment you don't take the right quantity, the system gets used to that average quantity, that the bacteria will now become resistant to that particular line of treatment.
There was a time the DG of NAFDAC suggested that death penalty, capital punishment.
As a matter of fact, I am in total support of death penalty because an armed robber cannot kill more than 10 before he's caught. But I tell you, a fake drug trafficker can kill 500 in one day and it will not be detected.
All right, then. Let's take this conversation to Dr. Dyer. Dr. Dyer, I know you are very aware of this particular conversation that we're talking about. Interestingly, the NAFDAC has clearly made their position clear. But from your perspective, what other stricter measures can be put in place to deter these kind of unscrupulous elements amongst producers of these products? Some have said there should be some level of monthly blacklisting, but what are the stricter measures would you want NAFDAC to even give?
Yes, you see, this particular menace in our nation is beyond the interactive sessions between NAFDAC and the stakeholders. I mean, you can pick a cue from what my friend Dele Fanimo just said there. That his experience with the manufacturer in Bangladesh had shown that people have been going there. And when people go there to do that, do they use juju to bring it to Nigeria without passing through our borders? What I'm saying in essence is this. What we're experiencing as regards fake drugs being sold within Nigeria territory has to do with systemic breakdown. You were asking a question then. Let me tell you this. You will always have Nigerian spec, American spec, UK spec, and European spec. Okay? And all these specs, that is specifications, are being manufactured for them based on how the system works. They know that there is no American or UK businessman that will ever come to Bangladesh to do that. Aside from that person being arrested and jailed, you that also manufactured it in Bangladesh or wherever you are bringing it from will also be brought to book. So what I'm saying is, our system has been so rotten to the extent that anything goes. Even here, when they are being arrested and taken to court, what do you see? What is wrong with our judiciary too? We all know what is happening in the judiciary.
Dr. Dyer, is there the possibility? Dr. Dyer, is there the possibility? Is there the possibility? Sorry to butt in here, Doctor. Doctor, I don't know if you can hear me. Is there the possibility that this particular action by these people is fueled by the fact that they know that some Nigerians cannot afford to buy those medications at the exact price that they get it from, the very original ones that we're talking about? Thus, the reason why they have to go substandard.
Are you with me? It is not just the price. You know that I pivoted my submission on systemic breakdown.
All right.
If the system is not rotten, there is nobody that is, for instance, the NHIS, if it's working properly, if people are not embezzling the money, I mean, people will be able to afford this. Then there will be no point in bringing in substandard drugs. And that is why I said, before this menace can be curbed, we have to rejig our nation. Our system needs to be recalibrated so that everything will work. If people have access to NHIS the way it's being promoted, then people will be able to purchase such drugs no matter how much the money is. If our exchange rate system is working well, the exchange rate will not be affecting the prices of goods and services being brought into this country. If people are well paid, the salary structure is good enough, the way it's supposed to be. If labor itself have been fighting for sustainable minimum wage rather than the opaque minimum wage, if they have been asking for sustainable minimum living standard, then workers, people will have been able to have enough to purchase drugs for their good health. These are the issues that need to be tackled before this menace can be curbed within our socio-political environment.
All right then, Doctor, thank you so very much for your submission there. Before we jump into another particular topic, Mr. Fanimo, how much of data transparency can we get in Nigeria? The public clearly wants, a clearer metrics on factory audits and all of those audits failure rates, clearer metrics I'm talking about what the public wants. But how much of data transparency does Nigeria have to ascertain and determine these kind of persons within our society? Because Dr. did say it is a systemic failure, and of course, nobody wants to agree less on that particular statement.
You see, the funny thing about data convergence is that it's a very simple thing. You don't need rocket science to do data convergence. That has really helped some of these Western countries. For instance, up to today, if you want to get an international passport, you go through the same biometric process. The next day, if you apply for national ID card, you go through the same biometric data. Process. Then if you go for NIN, then you go for BVN, you do the same thing. You go for driver's license. So now you have you now have about 10 places where you have your biometrics. And if you go again, maybe 10 years after, you will not see it. So this has also helped those who are bent on committing crime in this country to get away with such crimes. For instance, they were talking about 20,000 recruits for the police. I can tell you, minimum of 1,000 criminals will find their way into that recruitment exercise undetected. And a criminal that would have to look for money to buy AK-47, now you are now handing him AK-47 with superior training.
And that also is as a result of this same data
failure. So, for instance, if you are convicted anywhere in Europe, America, Canada, the moment, even if that person is dead, the moment you just type that person's name, you see ex-convict.
Is it lack of data collection, or are we seeing lack of political will to?
It's not about.
You know why I'm asking this? In one breath, the other time we learned that Boko Haram members were being allowed to join the military, and the military come up to say no, something like that is not happening. They denied it, and then today we learned through a member of House of Rep that even the terrorists and bandits that have been cursing Canadians and wanton killing in Nigeria have been budgeted for. So is it us not having data? Or is this some people who happens to find themselves within the corridors of power playing politics and getting, emotional and letting corruption still rule it?
You see, when you talk about political will, this is not supposed to be anything political at all. You understand? People assigned to do the job should do their job the way it should be done. Okay, now in spite of certificate forgery problem that the Interior Minister has, today people are singing his praises for timely acquisition of international passports anywhere in the world. Where you have to pay bribe anywhere in the world today, in less than 48 hours, you apply, you get your passport without even meeting anybody one-on-one. That's a leap. So if we do that in other spheres, look, let me tell you, there are some states today that have not automated their revenue collection. It was because those who are in charge are so neck deep in corruption.
I like the fact that you even brought this part of not having to bring out data of their finances, which is going to take us to the next conversation, particularly the fact that SERAP is urging for probe of security votes from governors since 2015. Let me take this conversation to Dr. Dyer. Dr. Dyer, what's your position about these particular conversation about probing security votes that are being collected by state governors? Again, a lot of persons have said, look, ask your governors questions. And as it stands, do you think if or should there be some major probe, particularly on security votes, we might be hearing things that Nigerians truly are not ready for?
Yes, I will continue from where the list stops regarding data. And I want to corroborate his submission by saying, I think about 2 weeks ago, one guy was caught in France in a way whereby he was trying to collect the gratuity of his mother. He disguised as the mother, and while he was coming, he was driving. But meanwhile, those people had checked the records of the old woman, that the woman never obtained a driver's license while she was alive. And that's how that guy was caught. That is the work of data. Now, when you now bring it to the probe of the governor, whether they are using the security votes for what they are using, what they are supposed to use it for or not, do they have, or can Serap ask for that data whereby it will explain how these security votes had been spent in the past? No data. Because you now find out these are the monies these same governors have been using to give to those they call leaders to support their probably second term and all that. Now tell me, as a governor who is being given so amount of billion every month towards security.
241.2 billion naira every year.
Yes. What have they been using it for? Call the police on an emergency. That look at this, look at that. You hear them telling you they don't have fuel in their vehicle. When they are even supposed to come around, they be telling you they have not eaten today. So what is happening to our security votes? However, let me also tell you one of the impediments that the governors are also having. Imagine the postings of these policemen. You will post somebody who is from Maiduguri to come and be probably the DPO of a police station within a locality. This is a police officer, a very good police officer, who doesn't understand the language of the environment he was being posted to, who doesn't understand the culture, nor the behavioral pattern of those people. I will give you an example. A particular DPO, the guy see my friend today, was posted to a particular place. I want to refrain from mentioning the place so that they won't go around and be gagging the guy up. You see, this guy, he understands the language that people speak, understands their culture, understands their behavioral pattern. Sometimes you will even see him sitting down among the locals. And then there was a day I accosted him. As an elder within the community then. I said, Mr. Man, you are doing this and that. Can you tell me why you are doing this? He said, Doctor, you won't understand. You know, this is our work. There are certain things they teach you in the class. Why there are certain things you have to also understand and teach yourself as a professional. He said he sits around them because he knows that these people will be saying some things that will be good for his work. And you will not believe it. You will not believe it. The crime rate in that particular area, locality, reduced from about 80% to not more than 50%.
Okay.
It caused some people, wait now, it caused some people that call themselves big names in that area. And because of that, he was reported and he was transferred. Can you imagine that? So these are part of the things we face that is causing insecurity. When you see your staff, okay, look at another issue. The Matawale, not accused of asking security agencies to release a non-court terrorist, saying that he is his brother. These are issues.
But
We have
he told the people of Nasser and the people of the states and Farah that if they are to work, make any move to end the issue of insecurity without him in picture, that it will be a waste of time. Now, as someone who has been the governor of that state for 2 terms, don't you think that he will do something in line with that? Let's also just suppose that with the call from the PDP at this point, calling for a full constitutional power to be given to governors, since they are the executive one, the number one person in the state, that they should have everything, be responsible effectively for them to help to curb the issue of insecurity in Nigeria, making them now not just the chief, security officer in paper, but giving them everything they need that will enable them to champion the end of insecurity in their states.
It is beyond that, my sister. It is beyond that. Let us look deeper. Insecurity in Nigeria as of today is laced with nothing other than corruption and political patronage.
All right, then. We're really
corruption
and
political patronage.
We're really
to that extent.
Sorry, Dr. Dio. So we have to apologize for this because we're really pressed for time, and this is where
Let us borrow some time.
we definitely would love to do that, but I mean we cannot do that.
The bank is not functioning.
Other stories have to fly. Thank you so very much, Dr. Kayode, for always giving and lending your voice on the analysis segments of the Midday News. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, my player.
Also want to say a big thank you to Mr. Dele Fanimo, seasoned reporter, and of course, a public and political affairs commentator and analyst. Thank you so very much. We'll take a quick break right now. When we return, more stories on the Midday News will be up next. Please do stay with us.
Glad to have you back. Still the media news and voice of the people television. This report says that Lagos State has launched activities for World AIDS Day 2025 under this year's theme, Overcoming Disruption, Transforming the AIDS Response. The Lagos State AIDS Control Agency says the theme reflects challenges the state faced this year, which disrupted community HIV services. A correspondent here in Lagos has this report.
Briefing in Lagos, the Chief Executive Officer of the Lagos State AIDS Control Agency, Dr. Folakemi Animasha, said the global team calls for sustained political will, stronger international cooperation, and a human right-based approach to end AIDS by 2030.
Many residents, particularly adolescents, key populations, and individuals in hard-to-reach areas experience delays in accessing services that are often a lifeline for early detection and care. These interruptions underscore a fundamental truth. The strength of an health response is measured not only by what happens within the clinic, but also by the reach, trust, and continuity of community engagement. When these connections falter, the opportunities for early diagnosis, timely treatment and prevention, education are reduced, and the most vulnerable populations feel the impact first.
She explained the HIV services in Lagos were affected earlier in the year when some community-based programs paused due to the U.S. government's Stop Work Directive. The disruption slowed down testing, psychosocial support, and counseling in several communities. Adolescents, key populations, and residents in remote areas were the most impacted, as community structures often serve as their first point to access to HIV care. Velasquez says community networks, peer educators, youth advocates, faith-based groups, and civil society organizations quickly adapted through door-to-door sensitization and novel testing. They restored outreach and linked newly diagnosed individuals to treatment.
As part of this year World AIDS Day agenda, Lagos State AIDS Control Agency has organized a series of activities designed not only to commemorate the day, but also to inspire, inform, and actively engage Lagosians in the HIV and AIDS response. Each event is carefully planned to foster awareness, early detection, and strengthen community resilience. HIV awareness and prevention efforts have been strengthened through religious leaders, market women, in-school platforms, and social media initiatives targeting the youth. The ongoing statewide HIV testing campaign remains the central activity of our commemoration. It ensures that residents across LGAs and LCDAs know their HIV status, support early diagnosis, facilitate timely linkage care, and sustain treatment adherence. This campaign reaches communities where health and social support are most needed.
From January to September 2025, Lagos recorded an estimate of 160,000 residents living with HIV, out of which more than 147,000 are currently on antiretroviral therapy. Testing numbers, however, dropped sharply, with only 222,000 tests conducted, less than 30% of the previous year total. The state ongoing free testing campaign, launched on November 18, has already screened nearly 10,000 residents, recording a positivity rate of 2%. Women and young adults aged 20 to 35 have shown the highest turnout. As part of this year's World AIDS Day activities, Lagos has lined up a religious engagement, a novelty match, awareness work, empowerment programs, and a stakeholder symposium to deepen awareness and reduce stigma. From Alausa, I am Monica Ogolo, reporting for VOP TV.
Thank you so very much, Onyeka, for that particular report. Now, moving on to some business stories. The Minister of Livestock Development, Edie Maiha, said the federal government has launched a fresh drive to unify livestock data nationwide. Speaking in Abuja during a stakeholders validation workshop of the National Monitoring and Evaluation Framework, he stressed that Nigeria must move away from guesswork and fragmented records to unlock the full economic potential of the livestock economy.
In sports, the Nigeria Table Tennis Federation (NTTF) has petitioned the International Table Tennis Federation after players were denied entry visas to the ongoing 2025 World Youth Champions in Romania. Nigeria qualified for the tourney after winning the boys under-19 team event at the 2025 African Youth Championship in Lagos in July. In a letter by the NTTF president Adesoji Tayo, the federation described the decision as a violation of the principles of international sportsmanship, inclusivity, and fair participation at ITTIF and its partners uphold.
And in the world of entertainment, TikTok has announced plans to use its December 6, 2025 Sub-Saharan African Awards to spotlight creators whose content are helping to build stronger digital communities and opportunities across the region. The head of TikTok's content operations for Sub-Saharan Africa, Muniswa Sidwaba, said the awards is part of efforts to support and celebrate creators driving culture, conversation, and innovation. She explained that this year's edition will highlight positive storytelling, creator impact, and the growing role of digital platforms in empowering young creative entrepreneurs. According to Sibwaba, the annual awards will celebrate the continent's most inspiring and innovative creators using the platform to educate, entertain, and empower their communities.
And that is it on the Media News and Voice of the People television. Do also subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are at Voice of the People TV, and on all the streaming platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Up next on the schedule of Voice of the People TV is a spotlight show with Precious Agumanu. I am Fina Okechukwu.
And I am David Edwin. Good afternoon.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and